The Warriors are NBA champions.
It's taken 40 years, but once again, the Bays team is the best team. The Golden State Warriors have won the NBA title.
Their approach to the draft is simple. Continue to build from the ground up. With players like Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes, Klay Thompson, and the MVP, Steph Curry.
This year's MVP, Steph Curry!
The Warriors brass has laid the groundwork for an already bright future. Will the Warriors find another franchise cornerstone? A potential role player? We answer those questions and more next on the Warriors Draft Preview Show.
Well, we could talk about the championship forever. Congratulations once again to the Warriors, but we got to focus on the draft. They have some work to do this coming Thursday, the 2015 NBA Draft. I'm Henry Wofford, along with our Warriors insider, Monte Poole, and the coach, Dan Belluomini. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Let's take a look at the draft. The late first round, you got the Cavaliers picking 24th, followed by the Grizzlies, Spurs, Lakers, Celtics, Nets, and then the Golden State Warriors. Monty, what's your gut feeling? Which position will they address with the 30th overall pick in the draft?
If I know Bob Myers and Steve Kerr like I think I do, they're looking at shooters. They love shooters. Kerr was a shooter, and they've always said we can't get enough shooters. They brought in Jason Capono last year, and he's been out of the league for 2 years. So they are that desperate to find a person who can shoot the ball. And that's why I think they're going to go for a wing that can shoot a two-guard, maybe a two-guard or a small forward, one of those guys, and that's what they'll look for.
Coach, is this a deep draft, and do you think they'll get a quality player at number 30?
Yeah, Henry, I really think this is the deepest draft in a long time. And I think you can get a quality player. I really like guys like R.J. Hunter. Remember him at Georgia State? He can play kind of a combo.
There you go.
Two guard, one guard at 6'6". I love DeLon Wright, who played at Utah. I've known DeLon for a long time, played at City College of San Francisco, and had a great couple of years at Utah. So you've got players like that, and then, of course, Chris Wood, who's 6'10", from UNLV. So you've got guys, I think, that will be available. There you get a great look at R.J. Hunter, and you know, he's just a special player, and he could be available at 30.
The Warriors are in a very good position because they only have two free agents. One is a restricted free agent, Draymond Green. The other is Barbosa. But do you go after the best player available, or do you address a specific need?
Well, you can say at 30 and winning the championship that you go, after the best player, and you might even gamble a little bit. It depends what the mindset of Bob Meyer and company is. Do they want to go after a big guy that maybe they can wait for a couple of years? I think it really depends who's out there. I think if DeLon Wright's there, I really believe if he's there, they'll get him. He is that good. But he may be gone. So now you got to, Monty, you got to get plan B in place.
Yeah, DeLon Wright is a terrific combo guard. He can play either guard position, really good last year. And he's about 6'6", so that's the right size you're looking for. Again, you've got three guards right now in Livingston, Curry, and Thompson that are locks to make the team next year. Barbosa, Justin Holiday, those guys are on the outside looking to get in. So there will be a guy that they look at, and DeLon Wright would be in that mix, I would think.
If they go after a big man, do they have to go after someone who fits their style? We saw Andrew Bogut sitting on the bench late in the finals because, frankly, he wasn't fast enough to keep up with their tempo. Will they be looking for a fast, athletic big man if they go in that direction?
Yeah, if they go big, they would definitely want to try and find a guy that can run the court, run the floor. Festus Ezeli is a pretty good runner, better than Bogut. He's still learning how to play the game. They want to keep him healthy. But, yeah, if they go big at 30, you're looking at probably a guy that they can stash over in Europe and just grow a little bit, a project per se. So it's not beyond the realm of possibility that they would make that move, but it would definitely be a guy that might not be ready right now.
Coach, I want you to take a look at some of the 30th overall picks taken because you see some quality names on this list, especially with the Warriors right now. Festus Ezeli, Jimmy Butler, who's one heck of a player with the Bulls,
very good player.
David Lee, and then look back in 1986, Nate McMillan. What do you have to say about
Nate
this
McMillan.
pick?
Well, I like Festus Ezeli when he was at Vanderbilt. I thought that was a terrific pick. Don't forget Draymond Green was a 35th
second round pick.
Yeah, he turns out to be good. So this is a great graphic to show folks that you can get a very good player at 30. The guy I like the most in the whole draft is Rondé Hollis Jefferson at Arizona. I think he is as good as any top 6 or 7 pick. I would take him over Justice Winslow.
Wow.
I think he is that good. I think when this whole draft plays out, I think Rondé Hollis Jefferson will not only be productive in the NBA, but I think he'll be a real star. And I don't believe he'll go until maybe 20 to 25.
You know, and he's one of those guys that he's about the same size as Draymond Green is. Better athlete, though. Better athlete than Draymond is. I don't know about his IQ yet. Those are things, but I've seen him play. He's pretty explosive. I think you're onto something there. He's a guy that can make it in the league.
I think he's exciting, a defender, and we'll see where he goes. But if he drops it all and you got a chance to get Rondé Hollis Jefferson, you've got a future star.
Well, the Warriors might have room for a big man because there's a report that David Lee wants out. We talked about Myers, the GM, to get his response regarding the report that David Lee wants to play for another team next season.
We're still trying to figure out everything with the roster, and I think at this stage, you usually have more time before the draft or free agency, but I won't sit here and say we've decided anything definitively. If I did, I'd probably end up changing my mind, or we would change our mind, because what I'll find out now and what we'll find out, Tim, is the next 7 days prior to the draft and whatever it is until July 1st, there'll be a lot of different things that'll be thrown at us that we'll explore. So it's not the right time to even say we're absolutely going in one direction or the other. But we're aware that we're probably going to be a tax team. We're okay with that. Joe's okay with that. And we want to be competitive. We want to have the same competitive balance going into the next season that we had in this one. So we're going to look to even get better if that's possible. And so all of that will be on the table, whether it costs us money, whether it saves us money. And I would assume following the draft, we'll have more clarity on exactly what we're doing. But we're going to look at all kinds of different things. We have to.
Well, David Lee is an all-star who has started his entire career until this year, and he wasn't comfortable in that role. He wants more playing time. He averaged 18 minutes a game this season. Coach, what do you think the Warriors can acquire for a player like David Lee?
Well, first of all, David Lee has been a great Warrior, and he has done a fabulous job for the organization, and I'm sure they will do right by him. If David Lee wants to be moved, I'm sure they will try to package him, either try to get a pick for him in the second round or, try to do something creative, Monty, in order to satisfy him. Because, the other thing I'll say about David Lee, I know a lot of folks may be a little down on him because when he got in there, he wasn't the old David Lee.
Right.
But remember this, he didn't get a whole lot of playing time, and it's hard to sit on a bench and all of a sudden come in when you get into your 30s and get back in the rhythm. He still has talent.
Yeah, the Warriors, though, they want to play at a certain speed and a certain pace, and they want to defend at a certain level, and David doesn't fit either one of those modes. He can't defend at the level they want to defend at. There have been too many games where they put him out there to guard somebody, and that person got free for an easy shot 2 or 3 times, and then David's off the floor. So David also has lost some of his skills on offense. His mid-range jumper, which was money a couple of years ago, is a lot more inconsistent nowadays. He's still okay in the paint when he can get in there. He brings you some energy. He's a terrific passer. But the question is, do you want to pay a guy $15.5 million to sit on the bench?
How about you, Henry?
Well, I don't have $15.5 million, so it doesn't bother me.
You had it in your pocket.
So,
you can pay me $15.5 million. I'll sit on the bench, though, just in case you're wondering. Hey, when we come back, much more talk about the draft. The Warriors are built around the Splash Brothers. Homegrown talent paying big time for the Warriors. We'll discuss what fits best for the Splash Brothers next.
With the 7th pick in the 2009 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Stephen Curry from Davidson College.
And they have been happy since that draft. The Warriors were thrilled when Steph Curry fell to them in the 2009 draft, but they had no idea what they were getting. A league MVP and now a world champion. Here's a look at the other players currently on the roster drafted by the Dubs. Harrison Barnes, Azili Green, Kuzmic, Klay Thompson, and as we mentioned, Steph Curry. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I mean, Minnesota had a horrible draft. Yes. They had 2 shots at it. They picked two guards prior to Steph Curry. They got it wrong both times. Explain, Coach.
Well, Minnesota had the 5th pick and the 6th pick. And they took Ricky Rubio, who's a good player at 5, and Johnny Flynn from Syracuse at 6, who had a good NCAA tournament. I think Johnny's even in the league right now. Nope. And the Warriors end up getting Steph Curry. And you know, one thing about Steph, he goes to Davidson. He was not a highly recruited guy out of high school. He was a good player. And everybody thought he was a bit frail.
Yes.
You know, he couldn't stand up to the rigors of the NBA game. But what a quick shooter, a dynamic player, and you couldn't be happier. He's a wonderful person off the court. But have you ever seen anybody shoot the ball quicker and more accurately than Steph Curry?
His father, Dell, was also a quick shot artist. I mean, he could really shoot it really quickly. But I think in Steph's case, you're looking at a guy, like you said, he wasn't highly recruited. He was fragile looking, and then he got hurt a lot early in his career. So when they signed him for an extension, they got a discount. $44 million for 4 years because they said, you know what, we don't know if he's going to be healthy. Well, he has outperformed that contract big time. So when it comes time for his next contract, sprinkle him.
There's no discount next time around.
Absolutely not. Speaking of guys who were not heavily recruited, the same goes for Klay Thompson. He wasn't a guy who was a 5-star athlete coming out of high school, right, Monty?
No, even coming into the NBA, they looked at him and said, well, maybe Klay can be a shooter, a stand-up, kind of a spot-up shooter in the corner somewhere, a guy who can do that. But Klay has become a guy who's gotten better every single year. He didn't come into the league playing defense. He now is a really good defender. He has a full all-around game, and I'm sure this helps having a dad that played in the NBA for a long time, and Michael Thompson, to sort of show him the ropes, and also a guy like Michael who has been a champion in the NBA. So Michael is his biggest critic, but also his biggest supporter, and Klay understands that. So you're watching a guy now that has gone from being a guy who was questioned as to why they put him so high to now he's an all-star. Jerry West has always said this guy is a player.
Yeah, and one thing about Klay, when I remember covering his games at Washington State, a terrific shooter. He really overachieved after he got to Washington State and really played terrific basketball. But as Monty said, he really didn't defend, and now he's got a total game. But I think you're right. I think having a dad like Michael Thompson, don't forget, Michael was the #1 pick in the NBA draft. Overall. So Klay has really done a terrific job.
They've done a great job on the court, but another guy who deserves some attention is Bob Myers, the GM. Take a look at what he's done. You know, Andrew Bogut, the trade for Monte Ellis in 2012. You know, he acquired Andre Iguodala through a sign-in trade. Maurice Spates, Mo Buckets. He's been a guy who can light up the offense. Sean Livingston, Leandro Barbosa. But what about this man bringing in Coach Kerr? Trusted him with this team and got the job done in his first year.
They've done a great job of building a team and understanding and having a vision of what they want in their players, in their staff, in their people, and it's showing.
And, of course, Steve is, a winner throughout, a winner in Arizona, a winner in the NBA. And, you got to give Bob Meyer and everybody with the Golden State Warriors a lot of credit for putting it all together.
Well, let's take a look at what Myers has done. I mean, over the last 3 years, his team has been in the playoffs the past 3 years. Most importantly, they won it all this season. That's what really counts. Let's hear from Bob Myers, who's got some work to do with the upcoming draft Thursday night.
Personally, would have liked to have kept up a little bit better, but we've got great people working for us in basketball operations, whether it's Travis or Kirk, Larry Harris, Larry Riley, Lamont Peterson, people that have been out there all year long. So you have to rely on the people that have been doing it all year. We'll start meeting exclusively on Monday, and that'll be the doors shut, kind of the war room philosophy of who we're going to draft. We've had workouts with guys, so we've kept up in that capacity. I flew from Cleveland after Game 4 straight to Vegas to watch a bunch of guys work out there. So we're doing the best we can, but ideally I would have liked a little more lead time going into it, but it's part of it.
So obviously he wants to build around his 2-star players, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. Coach, elaborate on that. What does it mean when you say you're going to build around specific players?
Yeah, well, you need players, Henry, that are going to be productive with your stars. So you're trying to get a guy that's going to fit in to your philosophy. And, I think Monty said it well. They love shooters. They love guys that come down. The NBA has changed. There's no question about it. Going small is really effective because of the three-point shot. So I think he's going to do his homework, and you know, Monty, maybe he'll trade to move up in the draft.
I wouldn't be
put it past
surprised.
him.
I wouldn't be surprised. The one thing about this team, though, you can't overlook the fact that they really want to have guys that have a defensive mentality. You've got two guys in the Splash Brothers, and Thompson and Curry, that love to shoot it and can shoot it, but they want to wrap two guys with defensive mentality around those guys to build a complete team.
All right. You guys are doing a great job. But you're not getting off the hook without telling us who the Warriors are going to pick. And I'm going to quote you guys on that, by the way.
Okay.
I'm not picking anyone, by the way.
I'll go first.
I'm chicken.
I'm
Right after the break.
I'm going to go with my man. You want to know now?
No, not yet. Just
I'm
hold
itching
your
to tell you.
horses.
Let me tell you.
Barnes, Ezeli, Green. They are the last three players drafted by the Warriors in the same season. It was one heck of a draft class. More on that after the break. Welcome back to the Warriors Draft Show. Draymond Green is a machine. 79 games in the regular season this year. He averaged 11 points, shot 44% from the field, averaged 8 rebounds, and nearly 4 assists. Coach, in your mind, is he the most important guy on this team to a certain extent? He doesn't have the most talent. But as far as the heart and soul, is he the heart and soul of the Warriors?
Well, I think you can make a claim to that, Henry. I don't think there's any doubt that Draymond is an outstanding player. What I love about Draymond Green is he's got a high basketball IQ. He does the little things that you don't even notice, the screen outs, the anticipation, making the right play in the open court. And the other thing, he's a terrific defender. I mean, he can really defend people. So Draymond is the total package, and that's a guy you have to keep. There's no doubt about it, because he's hard to find. He went 35 in the draft, played at Michigan State for Tom Izzo. The knock on Draymond was, well, he can't shoot outside. Well, forget about that. So, Monty, he's really a terrific player.
Yeah, I look at the Draymond Green and say, well, you ask yourself, who's the best player on the Warriors? You say Steph Curry. He's number one. But who's number two? Draymond Green? Klay Thompson. I mean, you've got an argument there. And the thing about Draymond is, yeah, he can guard 5 positions. But, yeah, he combines that high basketball IQ with a terrific motor. The guy never stops. I mean, he's one of the few guys that can play. He can be your 5 guy defending a 7-footer, grab the rebound, and go to the other coast with his dribble. That's just a rare thing you see. And he really, really inspires his teammates.
Amazing what he can do. Just one heck of a 2012 draft class period for the Warriors. Talk about Harrison Barnes, who was also in that class.
Yeah, Harrison Barnes was a guy who I think they drafted 7th overall, a lottery pick. I think he came in with some expectations, but he is a guy who fits in what they need for this team right now. A complimentary player who does a nice job.
And he's a perimeter guy too. I like the fact that he can step away and make shots. And you know, Harrison is an outstanding player. And then they also get Festus Ezeli, Henry, in that draft. I mean, talk about a draft. I mean, and you know, Festus, he's hurt last year, so he didn't get a lot of action. And I thought he was impactful during the playoffs, especially, and really the whole year. And talk about a great attitude, a defender. He's always going to give you 110%. So you really love the makeup of the Warriors. It seems like they have really good guys, and they've made all the right moves. The first great move was getting Jerry West, and they've made, ever since then, every move has been terrific. Bob Myers has done an outstanding job. And what can you say about Steve Kerr? I mean, Steve Kerr is just, and he has a great staff, you know. I think you got to give his staff a lot of credit. They put it all together.
Homegrown talent for the Warriors. They drafted Steph in 2009, Klay in 2011, and then that 2012 draft class, as our expert and insider just mentioned, they were remarkable in the draft that year. Fallon Smith has more on the big 2012 class.
With the 7th pick in the 2012 NBA Draft, the Golden State Warriors select Harrison Barnes from the University of North Carolina.
When we got Harrison, we were just looking for what we thought was the best player available.
The Golden State Warriors select Festus Ezeli.
We liked his size, we liked his physicality, his defensive presence.
The Golden State Warriors select Draymond Green from Michigan State University.
The thing about Draymond that all our fans know is he has the heart of a champion, and he goes out there and he gives it all he's got every single night.
3 guys, 3 different circumstances, same goal.
The biggest thing was to win. I mean, we kind of, we'd heard about the Warriors last year and things that went on. So, I mean, the biggest thing was just trying to win games because you didn't want to go through the same cycle as last year.
of course. You know, everyone wants to win, and especially being, like he said, with the Warriors' history, you know, you want to be a part of that group that changed things.
Well, what do you know? It's 3 years later, and the 2012 draft class has played an integral role in the Dubs' historic season.
Just maturation. I mean, just when you play a lot, you start to see things, you understand the game a lot more. Coach Kerr's been great and just kind of helping me to understand my role and how I can be better. So, 3 years in, you definitely learn a lot.
We're young guys, we have a lot to prove. We have a lot of guys that have a lot to prove. So, just that hunger from that aspect makes everybody get better. Plus, we have a competitive edge. So those two right there are a dangerous combination. Maybe we have good guys to get along, so that really helps.
Ultimately, to get where we're hopefully going now is, to be a consistent championship contender. And one thing I take a lot of joy in is you look out there some nights and we've got 5 guys on the floor that we all drafted. And that's, you can sit back and feel proud of yourself that you're able to get 5 guys in the draft that could compete at a high level in the NBA.
Travis Schlenk and Bob Myers have to be the most proud with the slam dunk pick of Draymond Green. He's gone from just hoping to make the roster to role player to starter, and is the glue that keeps the team together.
Being drafted in the second round is kind of one of those things where not much is expected out of you. I don't think, but at the end of the day, I got a great opportunity when I, coming into this franchise, and a couple injuries my rookie year allowed me a chance to get on the floor. And, then with Coach Kerr coming in this year, it's kind of expanded my role and, really allowed me to be me, and I've gotten better and better as the years went on. Just having guys that are your age and, you watch them work hard, you watch their success. Watching Draymond this year has been great. I feel like a brother, a proud brother, so yeah, it's been great. I just sit and think all the time like, man, I'm playing in the NBA. It doesn't get much better than that, especially, not many people get to live out their dream, throughout the course of their life. And I'm just blessed, and I don't take it for granted. Not one day do I take that for granted.
So if you're a Dubs fan, you have to ask yourself, what would this Warriors team look like without its heart and soul, Draymond Green? Without Harrison Barnes or Festus Ezeli? Would the Dubs be in serious pursuit of the franchise's first title in 40 years without the trio? If you ask their teammates, the answer is simple: no. Fallon Smith, Comcast Sportsnet.
Bob Myers is looking like a genius, but we got 2 guys who might contest for his job one day. So we're going to ask you guys, tell us who the Warriors will pick with the 30th overall pick. Beginning with you, Coach.
Can I have Rondé Hollis Jefferson?
No way.
I can't have him. He'll probably be gone. Maybe they can trade for him. I'm going to go with DeLon Wright. I think he may be there. I think he's a combo guy. He can play point. He can play 2 guard. He's a good defender. He can shoot it. High basketball IQ. His brother Darrell's in the NBA. So I think that would be a great pick if they could get him.
Monty, who are you going with?
I like DeLon Wright too, but I think for what the Warriors do, I've watched this team all season, and what they do, I think the guy who fits what they do best is R.J. Hunter, the kid from Georgia State. I mean, again, he's a combo guard. He's about 6'6". He plays both ends of the court. He's a coach's son. That's never a bad thing. And, of course, he was pretty decent in the tournament, if we recall. So,
I'd say pretty decent.
Yeah, so he's a guy that I think, he would fit in and he really would be your third Splash brother.
Shooting range is ridiculous, too. Can you imagine him?
They love
Clay,
shooters, yes.
Curry, it's just going to be raining threes
If
out
he's
there.
there, it'd be nuts not to take him, I think.
All right, we are ready for the draft. Once again, it's this Thursday. I want to thank Coach Dan, Monty. Guys will be glued to the tube when the Warriors make their pick. Of course, you can get the best coverage right here on Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area and get updates. Read Monty's work on csnbayarea.com. We'll see you a little later.